So, what really separates a decent manager from a leader who actually inspires people? Well, it's not just about following a rule book. Today, we're going to look at leadership as a craft, something you can learn, practice, and truly master. Let's get into it. And that brings us to the big question right off the bat. Is leadership a science with a set formula, or is it something more intuitive? More like an art? This question really gets to the core of what it takes to influence people. Well, our source material has a pretty clear take on this. It defines the art of leadership as exactly that, an art. It's the ability to guide people toward a goal while earning their respect, trust, and cooperation. See, it's not about just telling people what to do, it's about connecting with them. To really get a handle on this, let's think of leadership skills like the colors on an artist's palette. Throughout this explainer, we're going to be adding different colors. These are your skills to this palette, and I'll show you how and when to use them to create your own leadership masterpiece. All right, so just like any artist has to learn the fundamentals, how to hold a brush, how to mix paint, a leader has to start with the basics. In this first section, that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's start with a really foundational skill, giving orders. Now, the key thing here is the purpose. This isn't about flexing your authority or showing who's boss. It's a tool for leading people and making the most of their talents. The real art is in the delivery, making sure your instructions are crystal clear, you've picked the right person for the job, and you've given them the time and resources they actually need to succeed. Okay, now it's time to add the primary colors to our palette. Think of these as the absolute essentials, the non-negotiable skills that are the foundation for any effective leader. And maybe the most vital primary color of them all is communication. It's the pigment that gets mixed into everything else you do. If your communication is off, the whole picture gets muddy. And you're in luck, because our source gives us a fantastic little tool to make sure we're getting this right. It's called the Human Touch Principle, and it's a great little acronym. You can see how it all flows together. It starts with actually hearing the person, which then lets you understand how they're feeling. From that place of empathy, you can motivate them. Then you follow through by appreciating what they do, keeping them in the loop with news, and investing in them through training. And it doesn't stop there. You open his eyes to what's possible. You understand his uniqueness. And that's huge, realizing everyone is different. You maintain contact, and so importantly, you honor him. This isn't some checklist you just run through. It's a whole philosophy for building real, respectful relationships. All right, the final primary color we're adding is the art of criticism. And oh man, this is a tough one to get right. The whole game is delivering feedback that actually helps, instead of crushes. It has to be timely, and you have to be calm. You've got to get your facts straight before you say anything, and this is so important. You can't bring up a whole laundry list of past mistakes. Keep it focused on the specific issue at hand. So, we've got our primary colors on the palette. Awesome. Now it's time to learn how to blend. A great artist knows you can't use the same bright red for every part of the painting, and a great leader knows you can't have a one-size-fits-all style. You've got to adapt. First, let's talk about leading your own team, leading down. The crucial element here is discipline, but not in a harsh, punitive way. It means creating structure, putting people in roles where they can actually shine, and setting clear boundaries. You're building a strong framework so everyone knows what's expected and has a real chance to succeed. Okay, now what about leading across? We're talking about your peers, your colleagues. With them, you have zero formal authority. Your influence is built entirely on cooperation and mutual respect. And that's powerful because these people help define who you are at work. Helping them isn't just about being nice, it's a smart strategy for everybody's success. And finally, there's the tricky art of leading up. Basically, managing your superiors. The philosophy here is simple but powerful. Let your actions do the talking, not your words. You prove your value by being reliable, by carrying out what's asked of you, and by aligning with the overall plan. It's about being the person they know they can count on no matter what. You've got the fundamentals. You know how to blend. Now for the really good stuff, the finishing touches. This is the passion and inspiration that takes a leader from being just good to being truly great. I just want to pause on this quote for a second because it really hits hard. It speaks to the huge responsibility a leader has. Your praise, your encouragement, it can be the single difference between a brilliant idea taking flight or a genius talent just fizzling out. It's a heavy thought, right? So how do you actively do it? How do you praise and encourage people? Well, you influence them. And here are some fantastic practical tips for doing that when you speak.
Use enthusiasm. Stand up when you're talking. It gives you so much more presence. Look people in the eyes so you can actually connect and see if they're with you. And this is key. Engage your team by asking for their opinions. Make them part of the conversation.
Okay, we've got our fundamentals, our primary colors, and our blending techniques. Now it's time to bring it all together and start thinking about your own unique leadership masterpiece.
Your palette is now full. You've got all these different skills and approaches. But you have to remember, this is not a paint-by-numbers kit. True leadership is a living, breathing craft. The real art, the genius of it, is knowing which color to use for which person in exactly the right moment. And that really brings us to the end. We've laid out the tools, the techniques, the whole philosophy. You have the palette, you have the colors. So the only question that's left is, what kind of leader will you be? What masterpiece are you going to create?